Welcome to Smut and Sensibility,
a podcast for romance readers and romance writers.
By romance readers and writers.
We are Amber,
Aly,
and Marie,
a group of learned ladies who love talking about the romance genre.
In this podcast, we will talk about our favorite books, writing craft, and how we make room for a creative life in real time.
So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome back, everyone, to Smut and Sensibility, a podcast for romance readers and writers by romance readers and writers. I'm Amber. I'm a corporate attorney by day and a romance reader and writer by night.
And I'm Aly. I'm a doctor and writer, and I'm studying history part-time at Oxford.
And we're back. Another Minisode.
By unpopular demand. These bitches just do not stop coming.
Or is it by popular demand wanting some more audible rock, paper, scissors? I don't know.
I don't think that I would challenge any other podcast out here to do audio rock, paper, scissors better than us, because I think we're the pioneers. I think how could you possibly beat this?
Before we get into the meat and potatoes of our episode today, Aly, I'm going to tattle on you a little bit.
No.
We chatted before this episode and you were a naughty, naughty girl. And I think you owe it to our listeners to confess a little bit, because I feel like we've all been here, but you just definitely did a little self-sabotage today. So what'd you do?
I feel like Lachlan.
I'm gentle parenting you.
Yeah, you're gentle parenting me. So why don't you tell me what you did today?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I have, despite making really passionate, wild claims that I was going to finish this novel this year and maybe have it be ready for querying at the end of the year. Spoiler alert, you guys, that is not the case. There have been some situations outside of my control that have just taken up basically all of my energy outside of work. And I have no juice. I got nothing.
As
and
someone who also takes up a big chunk of your time, I can contest to the overwhelm, and there's just a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes for me right now. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs for me, creativity is always, the very tiny little kernel on top. I got nothing. So I haven't really been working on my project. I think the last thing I worked on was plug our Minnesotans Guide to Breaking the Ice anthology, which is available now. It is both on Amazon, ebook, and in print. And the most exciting part is that it is going to be in bookstores. And
yes,
it is going to be in bookstores in the Minnesota area. Tropes and Trifles is carrying it.
Drury Lane in Grand Marais and Avant-Garde in Anoka. Ordered copies, you guys, if you're in that area. Go see it. Go buy it.
Go check it out. Pick
That's
it up.
exciting.
And Tropes and Trifles, for those that are in the local area in Minneapolis, they will have signed copies. So that's going to be so cool. And it's also going to be at Siren and the Sea bookstore. Siren and the Sea.
Silly so seashells by the bookstore.
Hey, it was Siren and the Sea. So obviously it's not a bookstore. It's a bookstore.
I know. Done.
I know. But in Rochester, if you are local to the Rochester, New York area, Siren and the Sea should also have some copies soon. And we may be doing an event with them later this summer. So that is really exciting. And more indie bookstores every day will have our book available. So if you are interested in reading an anthology of stories to melt hearts and support immigrant legal aid, and all proceeds are going to the Immigrant Law Center of Minnesota. So all that to say, that was the last time that I wrote something, which was a couple of months ago. And
swing it back.
The pendulum does swing back eventually. I always do have a point. It just takes a little while to get there. So it's been a while. A couple weeks ago, I was actually able to hop onto class. And of course, I had nothing new, because why would I with everything that's going on? But Sam was like, okay, Aly, your assignment is to get reacquainted with your story. Just be thinking about it more. So I read all of it. I'm not, I'm kind of grumpy right now. And
yeah, I was just saying, when and how did you reread it? That's important.
Yeah,
that's the naughty part.
I finished rereading it yesterday. I listened to it with the Speechify app, which that is another plug. That's one of my favorite accessibility apps for text to speech. 10 out of 10 would recommend. There's browser integrations. It's amazing. I'm anxious and stressed, and so naturally I was like, you know what?
You have zero time right now. So of all times to be trying to squeeze something in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This isn't the time.
Yeah. So what did I do? I decided to say, I was like, you know what? You're not feeling bad enough. So why don't you read your first draft of a book that you pantsed for like the first 9 chapters, which was really fun. But I read that and I was like, okay, there's some glimmers in here that are good. And then I was like, then there's some parts that are like doing both too much and not enough at the same time. And I was like, I think I hate this.
And when she told me that, you guys, I mean, first I was like, what are you doing? Like, we barely have time to connect and do podcasts, let alone why are you like doing this in this moment? And as someone who has been in class and almost read her whole book, I can attest it isn't trash. And it's a first draft. So of course it isn't polished, it isn't meant to be. But like you poor, silly, naughty thing.
I've been bad.
You couldn't have picked a worse time and or mental state to do this in.
Yeah. And I also am thinking too about, you know, this behavior that I did to myself, which was, you know, like very much self-sabotage, like not productive at all. And I think about like when I'm on road trips, I'll talk to my mom, and my mom likes to remind me of tasks that I need to do or things that I need to accomplish or people I need to call. And I've had to tell her, I was like, Mom, I'm driving. Like, I literally cannot do any of those things that you're telling me to do. And it's actually really stressful because I can't even write them down.
Yeah.
And I need to write it down. Otherwise, so like, why are you even talking to me about it? So I basically did that to myself where I'm like, you're not in a position where you can do anything about fixing this story or continuing this story or thinking about it right now. So
or
girl,
to
why'd you
even
do
refresh yourself. It's not like you have time to then dive into write. Like that was the whole point of the refresh. You are now going to be really busy. So by the time you are able to write again, you're going to need to refresh again.
God, I'm going to have to read it again, aren't I?
I'm going to make sure you don't do this again because your story deserves better because she isn't trash, and you'll have to apologize to her later because you're in a mood. You're in a place.
I'm in a mood. Like,
and when you told me this, I was like
today too.
Yeah,
and
like
so
we're
that
just
I was
gonna be
also
sassy.
I finished it I finished it this morning as I was getting ready, and I was like I was just, and then the day just continued, and we're fired up about other stuff too, and there's just a lot to be grumpy about, and so why not read your own first draft and feel bad about it too?
Let's just pour gasoline on that fire. Like, let's not even pretend that's not what we're doing. Broad daylight.
100%.
Bring the gas can and just let's sit in the flames.
And I do that all the time. Like, if I'm like, I'm feeling bad or anxious, I'm like, you know what? Let's make it worse. Let's add a little self-loathing in there. Just like,
I'm not feeling
like a little
enough.
Parmesan on top. Say when.
Would you like fresh ground cheese? Yes, please.
Would you like a little self-loathing to go with your pasta? Yes, I would.
Yeah. Even when I told you, another side note, because this is who we are, I really want to like have crows. They're so smart, and you can have crows come and they'll like remember you and if you feed them and stuff. But the squirrels live in my yard, so I'm trying to figure out anyways. So I have this little like cute picnic table and put it up in a tree, and I'm like, Hallie would be all excited about this just because I'm excited, like cool nature. Yeah, she's laughing already. So I like showed it to her. I'm like, look at like, and then I'm hoping like the crows will come, and she was like, do you like crows? Like it was totally the most bland way for her to be like, WTF, what are you doing?
Well,
So that was her mood. Her vibe is just not vibing. But you know what? No one is going to vibe 100%, and we're still doing this today because you know.
So
you can have off days.
I'm sorry if I was being a bitch.
No, you weren't. But I also was like, excuse me, this is not the level of excitement I was anticipating. So I was anticipating, you know, just a different response. And you weren't a bitch per se. It was just very un-Ally-like.
You're making me feel self-conscious about it.
Don't feel so. I meant it's more funny. Like we're all in the mood. And maybe it was a weird lame story that normally I'd be like, old lady hobbies, birding. I'm putting out bird feeder specific for a type of bird. Like this is where you normally I feel like would shine. I mean, you have a notebook just for your knitting patterns.
I do.
So like
There's
the
page
fact that you were
protectors.
just like, but you weren't a bitch though, because I could just tell in your tone that you're like,
I think
do you like ravens? Or I mean, do you like crows?
Yeah. Well, I think you were saying, you were like, well, you know, Abra was telling me, she's like, you know, crows like nuts. And I was like, I didn't know that at all. And then, but the squirrels are eating them. So you put cayenne pepper on it. And I was like, also a new fact for me. And then you're like, but it was so random. And I was like,
I was like, please admire my spicy nuts. And you were like, I don't know where we are right now.
Well, and then when you're like, so we have crows. And I was like, okay. And you were just like, you're like, and so here's their picnic table that I have high up in the tree, and they've got their nuts with cayenne pepper so the squirrels don't eat them because squirrels don't like cayenne. And I was just like, do you like crows? Like I felt like I was missing a couple of links in the chain there.
Yeah.
And so I love this for you, and I love these
you.
facts. And Amber has the most beautiful backyard. It is truly an oasis. Like you're back there and she has these woods and it's lovely. So
We try to make it our little magical woods back there.
we welcome nature.
We welcome
in the
nature.
back. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be great. And I would love them to bring you things. I think the only thing I picture crows is like, where they're like circling in a parking lot with a French fry. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those aren't the vibes we want.
But it did make me laugh because I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't know that you liked crows. I didn't. So I don't know. Then I was thinking, I was like, was I not paying attention in the group chat? Which is entirely possible if I got distracted. So
yeah. But anyways, this is leading us all back to you were naughty, not in the right headspace. So learn from Aly's mistake, or we all do it, right? You just like pick at the scab, but don't make major life decisions during said scab picking, like decide to trash your story or like decide it's no good and you're never going to pick it up again, because we will not tolerate that, because that's just that self-doubt, imposter syndrome, bad day. They're not welcome here.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm just in a mood and I'm just grumpy and I'm like, this is annoying. Adulting is annoying. We were sold a lie. And I feel like even if what I read, even if I was like, wow, this is fucking good, I think I would still hate it because I'm just in that mood. I'm just in that mood. Today. Like I'm not gonna please myself.
On that note, before we quick start, it'll be interesting when things happen, but they're just in general, typically there's always that movies are never as good as the book when they make the adaptation, right? Most people feel that way, but like movies are a different business and like there's lots to it. So it's a very generalization. Not everybody agrees with that. But in particular, when really popular books and then the casting, there's a particular casting that came out with a favorite book that a lot of people have big feelings about, us included. And I think in general, it's just very interesting. I think this isn't just related to this particular casting, but just in general that there are a lot of women in marginalized groups who read and write romance books. And I feel it's because we write the characters and the world and the experiences we want to see in real life that we don't get to experience in real life because of some of the structures that are either patriarchal or there's a power imbalance. So we write what we want to see. And that's why there's a big fan base. So it's very interesting why a book was successful. And then when it gets changed and some of those major things are changed or not even at all matched, what decisions were made behind the scenes, and everything is run by money and power, and there's nepotism involved in decisions, right? Like we will never know this because they're not going to tell us that, but it always makes me think of what's happening behind the scenes. And Hollywood is its own beast that has, throughout the last 100 years, more and more has been coming out about the atrocities there and what's been happening and who rules Hollywood, and like not everyone in Hollywood, right? But it's just very interesting that this is such a big topic in general that I think would be fun to dig into at a later date. But I think it just rung true today on a day that we feel very feisty, that I think at the root of it, today. It is. Aly, I don't know if you feel this way. I think at the root of it, without getting in deep, it just feels like, again, we're not being seen and heard. And we feel seen and heard in this space. And the reason why it was so freaking successful is because it was written for these people and we were seen and heard. And already in the beginning, it is like the opposite of everything that this character and these people stand for or how they view things in their real life. And it's like, I don't know. It's just very interesting when these are the people that you want to watch the movie, right? Like the reason you made the book into a movie is because it already has this fan base that you're assuming will watch the movie.
Right.
But I think, so like we want to feel seen and heard.
Yeah. I think it's also, I think what feels really frustrating is that I think we all know that we have some institutional issues.
Yeah,
here,
it feels very corrupt right now in many spaces.
And so I feel like this is just sort of taking like a magnifying glass to like, and to me, again, this is like our initial reactions about a vague situation that if you know, are a person on the internet, you can probably figure out what we're talking about. But, you know, I think what's really putting into focus for me is like the thing that I think I'm going to feel bad about is, you know, obviously there are strong reactions and like I do not believe in hate comments. I do not think like if you have mean things to say it in the fucking group chat. Okay, that does not belong in somebody's comments. That doesn't belong in somebody's DMs. For God's sakes, nobody needs to read your vitriol. Keep it quiet. Keep it in your own pocket.
And there's a lot of great people still involved with all of those projects, right? And like
100%.
have passion for it, and the original authors, like all those things, and they deserve all the success.
And I think to me, what I'm seeing about what I'm feeling is it sort of feels like it's like, oh, we never had a chance, did we? Like that's sort of how I'm feeling, because to me, I'm seeing the people that they're putting in front of the media that are having to like make announcements and give excuses or reasoning or whatever. And I sort of feel bad for those people involved that are having to bear the brunt of a decision that to me smells
doesn't
like
feel authentic
it was
to
made
them
in a back room with, you know, some billionaire at the head of a production company. Like it just doesn't seem like this was, you know, it just doesn't seem like it was a casting level decision. And maybe I'm wrong. This was a decision that was so much bigger than, you know, probably the people that wanted to do the right thing is how it feels to me.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how things unfold. But yeah, it was just like, you know, welcome to us in our random soup a little bit before a minisode. But you know, some days you have that where you just kind of feel off, and then some of the news keeps coming, and you just keep forging along. And you're our besties, and it's book related. Well, some of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is also a really important thing. Like you said, it sort of is its own trope of like, oh God, if you want to like rile up a fandom, make a movie of their beloved IP, right? Like,
yeah.
I think in general, more often than not,
everyone happy, right? So like, of course, there are going to be some people who are just unhappy, and no matter what choice you make, and that's the reality too.
Yeah, and I think more often than not, movie adaptations fall short of like the original product. And I think there's several reasons for that. First being that like books have different goals as movies, and you know,
different structure, different timing.
And then I think there's also people have strong relationships with certain written work because in a way you're able to sort of project your own mind images, you know, on it. And I think there's a lot of ownership, and it's like, oh well, this isn't in alignment like with what I saw in my head, right? I think that's part of it too. But and the way that we tell stories is very different between the mediums. But it is kind of funny, and it just has me thinking about like, you know, we want movie adaptations because we want more of what we love, right? But then it's also like, well, then you get more people involved, and then, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily, or it's not true to the original source material in a way. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But we're just a little fired up about it today.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, I don't know what kind of agent you would need to put certain things in certain contracts about like final approval on things, but it does feel like when things get handed over to Hollywood, in general, it feels like you kind of are no longer in the driver's seat of that, even though it's your legacy, it feels like. And that, as a control freak over here,
you're like, that
makes me feel
that
a little
sound good
sweaty.
at all. Like, here we are, two ladies on the internet with like nothing at risk. I
am a lady on the internet with I have 27,000 words of shit that I hate right now.
And I'm talking about a potential like movie deal contract and what you would or wouldn't accept. You know, manifesting at some level.
You know, one day we'll be having this argument and about like, oh my God, could you believe that this is who they wanted to cast for my book adaptation? Yeah. But as of right now, yeah, I have 27,000 words of shit. And again, we're just two ladies on the internet that have a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think too, we'll end it here. I think in general, this is bigger picture, talking about just like, not just Hollywood and books, but like systems and power and corrupt. I think it feels a lot that we're powerless these days, that I think in one space, everyone has power, is the purchasing power of your dollar. And at the end of the day, there seems to be a lot of false promises and talking and politicians not following through. But at the end of the day, money talks, right? Like, so as as much as it's extra work on our part to do investigations on, who owns what and who makes decisions or what somebody stands for. I think those things are mattering a lot more too. Whether it's right or wrong, it's just a fact. And I'm one of them. Like if I can, I like to choose to spend my money on corporations and or products that are more aligned with myself in what I believe in my morals. So I think there's an element of that too with some of this stuff happening on the internet. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake up and what the final production product looks like, or for the next book adaptation where this will happen all over again. Because it's like, this always happens.
The cycle continues.
The cycle continues.
The cycle continues. And, also people messing up stuff is partially why fic platforms exist, because it's like, we're not happy with the script. We're not happy with how this got, represented or whatever. So, I'm sure there's more to be said. And this is, again, first impressions, and we could certainly be wrong and we may feel differently later. We're a little grumpy today. We're a little riled up
We're just
today.
reeling in feels.
We're reeling and feeling,
Speaking of reeling, Aly, do you want to introduce our Minisode topic today?
Yeah, sure. So today's Minisode, we are going to do a little bit more character development, prompting, and exercising. And I thought it would be fun today to be talking about sort of our special talents or special traits that our main characters have. And we're going to break them down into two categories, which is what is known, what they kind of project to the world, and then what is secret, what is something that the other main character or the world at large does not know to be true. And this was inspired by the positive trait thesaurus, which is put out by Writers Helping Writers. And they do like the emotional wound thesaurus. They do all those thesauruses.
That is a great question. Thesauri?
Question mark? I don't know. Don't let it be about, is it about Tom? Question mark. I'm sorry. Any old school Real Housewives of New York people, please stand up. But
will you please stand up?
Will you please? But they also have some really great freebies on their website. And I think I've mentioned that before. So I thought that would be kind of something fun to talk about with our characters today.
Yeah. So this will probably be shorter. Hence why we had a little fun intro and just a little more fun and relaxed, kind of our initial thoughts and us reacting to the others to see what we think it means about them too, which is kind of fun. So should I start?
Yeah, I would love for you to start.
Okay, we're going to start with the known special traits, and I'll start with Violet. So I got two for her. First one is she's very charming and she's able to adapt to people and situations very easily, which seems simple, but it's not something everyone can do, right? That's kind of more innate. What do you think?
Of course, I muted myself to breathe. And then you're like, so what are your thoughts? And I'm like, well, fuck.
And then you're breathing heavy and Scout's barking for your help.
What was your question again?
I said that Violet's special traits known is that she's very charming and she's able to adapt to people and places around her. So almost like she wears different hats easily, right? Like she can fit in at the local pub, but she's also downtown Minneapolis in the newsroom, but she can also, gets along with kids very easily, like someone that's able to adapt to different people in different situations. So charming in that way. Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense when you are working one-on-one with people in an interview capacity. HR professionals would probably talk about mirroring, right? So you kind of match other people's energy and their cadence and their intention. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me with Violet as a person.
For her interviewing skills.
Because she's a journalist. And so she's kind of working and interfacing with a lot of different people. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I think that is really fun.
It's like The Crow.
No, okay, so no, it's not it is like The Crow, and I think that that's really cool. So I don't really like birds. That's also one of my things is I'm just they're
How did I not know this?
Yeah, I'm not really into birds. They're just sort of dinosaurs, and I don't like chickens.
For those of you not watching, she pulled up her hand like a sexy claw and then made a face. That was really great, which I think was meant to be their talons, but
Their little like prehensile like claw cacaw.
okay.
Okay,
So
anyway.
no birding for you. I will keep my birding
So I think
stories.
that was, if I'm being honest, that's probably what tempered my enthusiasm a little bit. But I do love the imagery of you basically being like Cinderella, who's like calling all of the woodland creatures to come do her chores in your
That's
beautiful
basically
backyard.
what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
So
Birds
like I
included.
love that imagery. And I love that, you're sort of like the forest witch who's, calling her familiar crows to like, bring her
Protect us.
trinkets.
Yeah, bring me
and,
shiny things.
the hearts of the people that have forever crossed her. Like I love that. Like I love that energy.
That's the energy we have today.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So line dancing, when I thought of it, it was at first I was unsure, but
I've never been line dancing and I've always wanted to. That was what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'm really excited about this.
Yes. So I haven't gotten there yet. I haven't told you about it. But I'm going to have a scene that there's like a bar, and every like Thursday night they do line dancing, and they also do like an intro class for the first 30 minutes. I got this inspiration from my sister. Hey, Amanda. She went with a couple of her friends in someplace in Wisconsin, and she was kind of hesitant, and she's like, it was actually really a lot of fun. And like everyone was just so friendly and like something to learn to get out on a Thursday,
Yeah.
And so this is in their small town. I'm going to like take that inspiration for Pine Harbor. But since she grew up there, she's going to know how to line dance, right? Because she grew up there. And Aiden never goes, but there's going to be a scene where Aiden gets dragged there and everyone's line dancing and he's being a grump. And we're going to like drag him out onto the line dancing.
I love that scene.
Yeah, so it's going to be like fun. But that's a known trait, right? A special trait. Not everyone knows how to line dance. It's kind of a particular skill.
No, it's very fun. I think I did like the Copperhead Road dance at a wedding one time.
What is the
great time.
Copperhead Road dance?
It's a line dance to the song Copperhead Road, that old country song.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll have to
you
Google
heard
it.
that song?
I know the song, but I didn't know there was a dance to it.
There is a dance to it. It's not that exciting, but there is a dance to it.
Okay.
At a wedding.
Next time we're together, I'm going to be like, DJ.
I don't remember it now. I just was watching people
do it.
But I have always wanted to go to a bar where there is line dancing. I haven't, oddly enough.
Okay, let's put that on the list.
Even when I was in Austin, that was like what I really wanted to do. But
we're going to do that along with curling. We're going to get your ass to a line dancing bar.
I love that so much.
It's happening. Okay, tell me about Karina.
Okay, well, her known like special trait is that she's a polyglot. So she speaks like 8 languages.
She's so smart and badass. Like she is just so cool.
Yeah. So obviously, well, I mean, you tell me.
I think it fits her, obviously, because she's a spy, right? So like
that was sort of her entry. That's like sort of her entry backstory to the agency.
Yeah, but I also feel like I don't know this, and you're going to tell me, but I also know from some of her backstory of being in foster care and being super smart and trying to be savvy. Was she able to like teach herself and learn some languages even when she was younger? Like I feel like she would do that.
Yeah, she definitely did. And I have a thing that I personally think is really funny, and it's definitely like a millennial callback about like how she learned languages as a kid, and I'll save that for another time. But yes, like she definitely started learning languages as a child, and then that was sort of like these tapes were like some of her like prized possessions, and then she just sort of like had a fondness and an aptitude for languages.
Cool. I love that.
Yep.
Okay. Aiden's known trait is he's good with gardening flowers, and then he knows the love language of flowers, which we learned very early on. He's incognito, living under an alias. In his new life, he is a florist. He owns a small flower shop. So that's part of his character, and it's very known because it's his new occupation.
Yeah. And I love, as a lady who loves a historical romance, I love the language of flowers. So I think that's so great.
A good time.
Yeah.
And I loved the compare and contrast, or the juxtaposition of like he was a professional hockey player, which is very, it's a very contact, rough, considered masculine, rugged sport. And then a florist. There should be no genders associated with either, but just heteronormative viewpoints, where then the florist is more considered, feminine and like female dominated. But like you don't have to choose. You can have both. It doesn't matter what gender or sex or how you identify. So I personally put that in there because I like to challenge the gender norms, especially with occupations, because it shouldn't matter. In this one lady's opinion.
I will say our wedding florist was a man. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I had beautiful flowers.
Johannes. Tell me about my Johannes.
Johannes.
I miss him.
So similarly to Violet, he's very charming. And like his sort of dynamic in the relationship, like in the partnership, is that he and Karina kind of have similar backstories, but they responded to them and sort of made their way in the world with very different adaptations. And so one of the things for him is like he is very charming. He has a lot of like social grace, and he's able to really like navigate situations with aplomb. And then he's also a really good cook.
I love this.
And at least right now in the draft that I hate,
Stop that.
So their cafe, he came up with the recipes. You know, it was supposed to be sort of this like deep cover, you know, thing for these two spies to make it seem like they were native Viennese and they own this cafe. And so they were like his family recipes, and he's just a very good cook.
My reaction to him being a cook and like cooking well, I think that fits him perfectly, because a lot of times cooking is like the old saying, the way to someone's heart's through their stomach, right? Like good food and socialization. And then also sometimes like a lot of people show their love through food, right? Like it is an act of service. It can be really complicated. So it's not something you just can like, you know, someone cooking something from scratch from you means more than going to the store. Both are great, but there's just a lot more effort and time and something put into it. So that's an easier way to like charm people. People really like it, but also like Johannes just wants to like show his love. And I just think that fits also like the underlying, what's going underneath some of his traumas and wounds and just wanting her to see him.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think there's like you said, there's like lots of memory making and feelings that people have associated with food. And so he can use that to his advantage or not. So, you know, that is something. And it's also like something that he likes to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So secret traits.
Okay. Secret traits.
What about
We'll start with Violet. Skipping stones.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. So, okay.
Yeah. So I thought of this, and it's not secret in the fact that she doesn't want people to know. It's just something that wouldn't come up normally. So growing up on the North Shore, we'll insert picture here, but for those of you who don't, it's very rocky. It's very beautiful. And she likes to be outside. So I think as a kid, just like learning how to skip stones there's going to be a point in the book where she's going to have this big contemplative moment where she's like skipping stones on the water, because it's kind of a mindful thing to do while you're like intuitively thinking. But also skipping stones isn't always as easy as it looks. If you've never skipped a stone, you have to find the right stone. You have to have the right throw. I am not very good at skipping stones. I can maybe get him to skip a couple times if I'm lucky. My husband Patrick is usually pretty good at skipping stones. So I thought that would be a really good one for Violet. That's just kind of like fun, but also shows where she grew up. She likes to be outside, and then it's going to be, you know, kind of a moody moment that's pretty for like describing a scene on the North Shore and the rocks, and she's kind of staring off and skipping stones.
That makes sense too with her. That makes sense too with like her backstory, you know, like where she grew up and
just like it doesn't.
But it doesn't come up in Minneapolis,
but a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't come up in the newsroom. Like, oh,
no.
Are you good? Yeah, it's skipping stones.
Guess what I can do?
Yeah.
Okay, Karina, hit us.
Karina is a good singer.
Okay, my immediate thoughts to this is I wouldn't have expected it, but then I really loved it, and I'm interested to hear more.
So it's going to be relevant in a scene where they're like undercover again.
Okay.
They have assumed new personas, and her being able to sing is going to be important for her new identity that she's assuming to obtain intelligence.
And you may or may not be able to share, but since it's secret, obviously Johannes doesn't know this. So is he going to just be wild?
Correct.
About, like,
he does not know.
Where have you been keeping this like secret, beautiful skill? Oh, we love that.
So
just another reason to like twist the knife in his heart and just like have him yearn some more.
Well, and I mean, I don't know. And also a little bit it's for me too, because, you know, maybe it's The Little Mermaid that I was obsessed with when I was a little girl, where I like wore out the VHS tape. Exactly. That's right. Sing for me, Amber Christine.
I did not know that you like wore out the tape to The Little Mermaid. I love this.
Oh yeah. Oh, big Little Mermaid person when I was little. But, you know, I feel like in my daydreaming, my mom and my sister are both very good vocalists. And I have what they call a blending voice.
Do you want to define that for our listeners?
So I'm not a soloist. I can hold my own in a choral, in a chorus, in a group, but I cannot like hold my own tune. I can follow the group, essentially. And I think like I've been told that like my voice is pleasant mixed with others.
That is like the most backhanded compliment. It's a compliment, but with others.
No, my dad, he told me that he got kicked out of church choir, which I feel like they were not really in a business to kick anybody out because his voice was so bad. So I didn't get that. So I'm somewhere like in the middle.
In the middle, like, you're a perfect blend.
I can't carry my own tune, but like I can add like a nice blend to other people's stuff. So I think, you know, in my mind, the moment, you know, as like an adolescent where you're like, I'm going to do the, you know, the talent show. And I just feel like there's the imagery of like the man falling in love with you because he's like, oh God, she has a beautiful singing voice. She must be the one for me. You know, it's sort of like that special talent, that special skill, like, oh, I have a magical power kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I think that that's sort of like the vibe. And singing, you know, she very much kept to herself. And so she really doesn't do very often because in her mind, I think it's very much like that's something that's memorable. You know, you're like, oh, that girl has a good singing voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people remember that. And you're usually the center of attention when you are singing in a capacity where you want to be a soloist. So she doesn't really sing. Nobody would know that she does, but she does.
But when she's by herself, like in the shower or in her own apartment, if she lives alone, does she like let it rip?
I don't know because it's possible because her and Johannes do like spend time apart, even though they share like a domicile.
They have to keep up the facade that they're married. It would be weird if they weren't living in the same house. So that makes sense that they have the same domicile.
Yeah. So they have been cohabitating for a couple of years, like deep cover, but you know, they will go out and do other things and have sort of like side missions. They obviously have different handlers, like they're in different agencies, and you know, they may need to work on a different asset and be out of the house and things like that. So she does probably do those things when she's like on her own, but definitely not when he's in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm excited for this later scene that you're going to write.
Okay. What about Aiden? What are his secret special talents?
Yes. So Aiden, hockey, but that's a very easy one. And we, the reader, know it. And then very early on, Violet knows it. And obviously Aiden does. So besides that, braiding.
Okay. But that kind of makes sense, you know, because he may do like a little, you know, frond grass braid.
Yay. Okay. That's where I was going. I was like, I feel like Aly will get this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just with like floral arrangements or even with twine, being good with tying and knots and braiding. But then in addition, I'm going to have a scene. I haven't decided if it's going to be doing like one of his friend's kids or a little girl or maybe eventually Violet, but he knows how to braid hair from helping with his hockey mates and then also his mom.
Oh, I love that.
That's so it's a little like tender, sweet moment.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah,
and
we love our Aiden.
I love that so much because like he is like a tender, wounded, sweet boy.
I know. And he just had to have that
is.
hard shell after his mom died because his narcissistic dad and then being in the
trash.
public eye and being betrayed and then just like hockey having certain like expectations. Like we're going to finally let this man melt his shell so he can just be the softie he deserves to be. Okay. Last one, Johannes. What are his secret special traits?
Okay, well, it's kind of is going in alignment with his charm, but like he can be like, he's kind of manipulative and like not always in a bad way, but like it's sort of one of his like survival instincts. Yeah. And there is like a scene where, you know, he's having a conversation with Karina and essentially, you know, he is very, very good at identifying like what somebody really wants and like either exploiting it or giving it to them to essentially get what he wants, right? Like he's very skilled at identifying what people want or what they fear or what they need. And that's how he's sort of able to kind of have these different personas and how he's been able to be kind of a chameleon. And it can have sinister qualities for sure. But it can also makes him feel very lonely because you end up sort of becoming an amalgamation of a lot of things that like maybe aren't really you.
Yeah. And especially I feel like once you said that, I feel like it matches with his charm, right? Like he naturally can do that, but that's a good way to be able to like manipulate, right? Like if you're smart enough. And then needing to do it for his job. Like, is it something he actually wants to do, or it's because it's the mission objective? He actually doesn't want to, but he needs to do the mission. So then he's going to use his charm and his ability to really get at people's desires and manipulate to get what he wants. But that may not also feel very like cozy and warm with your own internal moral compass.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And one of the other things too, this is like just a gratuitous thing for me, is he reads romance novels. And yeah, Karina is in a book club. I don't know if this will make like the final draft cut or if this is just sort of headcanon, but like, you know, part of this is that they are trying to establish themselves as like, you know, they are born and raised
in
Austrians.
The community.
Yeah. So, you know, she has some friends in town and they have like a book club and they read romance. Karina reads these books and they make her feel uncomfortable because it reminds her of her favorite foster mom, who she thought was like going to adopt her, but did not end up doing so. But she loved like Hallmark and romance and all of that stuff. So she sort of like holds it out at sort of like, you know, arm's length of, she'll read enough to like participate. And she actually likes it, but like it makes her feel feelings. And so that doesn't,
it's waking
like
the beast
that.
And she doesn't know what to do with that.
Yeah. It sort of makes her feel, I think, like her life is a little bit hollow, and that, you know, that the happily ever afters would never be something that she could have. And then it also sort of reminds her of like sadness and things like that too, from a person that she like lost. At least that's what I'm thinking for right now. I did have a shower thought a couple of days ago where I was like, actually, maybe I'll change that whole thing. So who's to say?
That's the fun of this. You talk out loud, you do it on paper, you think about it.
Yeah. So Johannes reads the books that she reads for a book club, but she doesn't know.
Does she know? She doesn't know.
No, she
doesn't.
I love that.
And you know what this gives me vibes of? The Bromance Book Club, just because I've been reading those with Patrick while he's overseas. And I just feel like we need more.
I know.
Just
and
like,
honestly,
I don't know.
I totally agree. And like, if you guys haven't read the Bromance Book Club series, you should. And I believe Lissa K. Adams has said that she's working on book 6, which I think is The Cheese Man. If you've made it to like, I think it's book 3 or 4 where he gets introduced.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
But it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. It's such a good series because the whole trope is that they're like very powerful men in Nashville in different fields. And they have a romance book club and they call them the manuals. The manuals. And honestly, I really think that if men actually read a romance book, like from an analytical point of like, women really like this book. Why do women really like this book? And actually trying to figure out like the societal reasons or like in this world, why women like this on a deeper level, I think they could learn a lot. And I think it would solve probably the male loneliness epidemic.
There was an interesting, I don't even remember, it was just like a post somewhere on the internet that said that it's amazing that women and marginalized communities who are writing these stories, like this whole industry developed because these women feel not, again, seen or loved in the ways they want to, so escape in this imaginary world. And it's become this booming business. Romance always outsells every other category. Like, those are facts. And again, right, they're all there. So if there's like men are like, what do women want? Why can't I like connect with them? There are like millions books. And like you said, it's funny they call them, but literally manuals. Like,
yeah,
go pick up a book. And not saying every book you have to pick something up, but you know, read a couple, see how you feel about it. I don't know. I agree with you. But so this series, the Bromance Book Club, is just so fun, but also the camaraderie and the friendship and the brotherhood of these guys reading the book, having these hard conversations and kind of realizing the toxicity that they've had to deal with, and not even just relationships with women, but their own masculinity and what's expected of men in public spaces or how to act in relationships that has been ingrained in them that hasn't served them and they didn't even realize. And like, they're there to help each other through those moments and if they have relationship troubles. So I immediately got that. I was like, Johannes would totally crush it as a member of the Bromance
Oh,
Book Club.
definitely. I think he
No,
would. Yeah,
honorary member for sure.
and like I think the romance reading like is something that he does like for himself, secretly, because again, like you sort of were saying, he's very much a chameleon. He's kind of a grifter, like he's very good at manipulating and social climbing, and like that's how he survived his childhood, and that's how he got into the institutions that he got into and all that stuff. So I think there's like he is expected to be a certain way in certain spaces, and he has mastered that ability, but like that doesn't always feel good, and that's not always for him. It's a necessary thing for survival in his situation. And so like what does he want to do? Well, he wants love and safety and, people seeing all of your faults and being
Authentic
okay
connection,
with it. Yeah.
right?
And again, sort of like, is this actually going to happen for me? I don't know. But I think when we're meeting Johannes, he has definitely started his change journey a little bit more than Karina, definitely more than Karina. This is probably going to be his last job. He's like,
He's ready to make the changes
he's ready
and be
to
happier.
sort of, he's been listening to some like self-help audiobooks on his runs.
Maybe a
at the gym.
podcast or something.
Podcast perhaps.
Per se.
And so like I think there's some things percolating. And so he's ready to accept a different future. And Karina is very much like, no, this is great. This is all I've ever known, and this is what's protected me. So yeah.
I love this. As always, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if we'll have enough to talk about for this topic, but we give it a go. But like this was delightful and so fun. And again, that's what these exercises are supposed to do. So hopefully this was fun with us to either just learn about our projects or to kind of see how it could work with your own characters. And it may seem simple or maybe you don't need, but then it might help you later on in your book to kind of think of like how they would react or what would be something cool to put in because you've kind of went through this list. And then the last question we're going to leave you with that'll help with this prompt is, why does your character choose to share or hide their respective talents? Are any talents or traits a source of pride or embarrassment? So Aly and I kind of did that as we went in the conversation because we didn't know each other's and it was kind of fun to do. But that is kind of the main question that should help you kind of really, when you're trying to decide which traits you want to assign, kind of have that, in the background.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If you have not yet, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It really does make a difference connecting us to book besties all over the world. And on all of the platforms, we are available. We are on...
Seriously.
For podcasts, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. We are also on Amazon Music and iHeart as well. And you can follow us, like I mentioned, on YouTube at Smut and Sensibility Pod, Instagram and TikTok at that same handle. We do also have a newsletter, which we linked down below. Because of situations beyond my control, I did not send out a March newsletter. So April's is going to be like a double dose. I've already started working on it. I've been reading a lot because anxiety has been high. So, there is a correlation.
It's my turn to look at you and go,
mental illness. Yeah. 100%. It's my turn. It's my turn.
Ooh, that's delightful.
No. But yeah, so please follow us. Please like and subscribe. And to everyone who has given us a 5-star review and a rating, we really do appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
And Amber, do you want to sign us off?
I do. Make sure to go in pursuit of your happily ever after. And as always, stay smutty. Bye, guys.
Bye.